So I guess that's that clip.
And I have no doubt that a lot of it is exaggerated, what you hear on the web, or they combine other programs in with it. So
All right, that's good.
Programs.
So, I mean, Aaron, bottom line, you've already written a big article with links. I guess you're going to add these or do another one, because it's just like the chemtrails. How many patents have you found about mixing the barium salts, aluminum dioxide in with the jet fuel so the jet companies don't even know, and it's designed to disperse the nuclei through the jet engines? I mean, we have just giant stacks of all these admissions.
Yeah, I have dozens, if not hundreds, of articles, and I found other researchers online who've posted probably about 100 patents that are related in one way or another to cloud seeding, to chemtrails, to different means of dispersion, to the use of, quote, albedos to reflect sunlight, which they claim.
And Bill Gates is obsessed with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has the program to steer hurricanes, and we would pay him to avert disaster. And, you know, it's all the usual players. Of course, in the White House, the science czar John P. Holdren is involved. Who was also involved in SDI, Star Wars programs. And I don't know if he has a connection to HAARP, but I think there's a connection between those three areas, perhaps.
You got a lot of other research there. Closing points on this.
Closing points, there's a PBS documentary where they talk about the weather manipulation. It's contained within the Tesla documentary produced by PBS. There's a CBC interview where they interview the other guy, Herkshire. So there's a lot of admission here, and you can also see their talking points.
Yeah, they tried to sell it in the 70s and 80s on TV, and we've got all that. And since the 90s, with the critical book written by Dr. Begich, that's when they started denying it.
Yeah, and it's critical that Bernard Eastlund used Tesla's technology to enhance their heating of the ionosphere, and that branches out into all kinds of military applications. There's no doubt that there's military applications, and worse.
Worse, as depopulation, mind control. They got a lot of patents on that.
Yeah, and that's all in play. Not that I'm an expert on it, but I agree with Begich that we laymen have a right to weigh in on this.
Absolutely. Globalists are telling us radiation's good for us. Stay with us. Here's the deal. I cannot do justice to the answer to 1984 1776 contest. It's been so successful. We will publish the winners, first place, second place, third place in the next hour at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Then those folks, I guess we'll put the contest email. We'll need to contact us. I guess we'll contact those channels to make sure it's the bona fide real people. Get their contact back and send you your $10,000 in prize money. But tomorrow I will then on air, go over the winners. But we're going to announce those in the next hour on Infowars.com. But I want to be able to do justice to everybody. We've got more on HAARP here in the closing minutes. But Obama rules out land invasion of Libya, just like they call the bombardment a humanitarian mission, not a war. But meanwhile, News 12 ABC reports Camp Lejeune Marines, 2,200 sent to Libya. Possibly for invasion. So we've got all that going on. You've got a clip here from PBS, and this documentary is from the early 80s, correct?
I think it's more recent than that. It's Tesla, the Master of Lightning documentary, and it goes into his plans for the HAARP system.
Okay, there must be another one that Rob has back there that's from the 80s, but let's go ahead and play this clip.
Mm-hmm.
The HAARP project evolved from a patent filed in 1987 in which Tesla's work is referenced. It proposed using the ionosphere like an enormous electrical circuit to transmit power around the planet. It even described a means of changing the weather by superheating portions of the upper atmosphere with microwave energy.
Tesla proposed that it might be possible to modify the weather by using radio waves. I believe that this is impossible.
Ionospheric modification is still in its early experimental stages, but microwave technology has already made it possible to transmit wireless power with the use of satellites.
We go to Alaska, and in Alaska there is natural gas. In order to send it somewhere, you have to create a pipeline. That's very expensive. So we said, all right, let's go into Alaska, create microwaves from the natural gas, send them to a satellite at a particular geosynchronous orbit, put a reflector there, and send it to Japan. And in Japan now, you get the antenna, which transforms this microwaves into 60 hertz and you get electricity. So you make essentially Tesla's dream.
Okay, yeah, and Rob's got another older documentary from PBS admitting a lot of that. So there it is. It's in the patents. They clearly are whitewashing and basically covering up the real power of these systems.
Yeah, you see spin in that clip, of course, military application and indeed energy application. We know that stuff is suppressed 30, 40, maybe even 50 years. So I don't expect they're telling us everything up front. There's a lot of interesting potential in the technology, but it really puts us in the hands of a potential scientific dictatorship.
Because it's also being done in secret. And that's the whole national security state. Great job, Aaron. Please continue with the great work you're doing.
Thank you.
Two final points here. The Drudge Report has a link to the Jerusalem Post confirming what we told you last Sunday. Al-Qaeda is backing the rebels. That's the Jerusalem Post. Also, update that 15 are dead in new clashes in southern Syria city. That's up on Infowars.com. And Army soldier pleads guilty in deaths of 3 Afghans, admits that they just killed them. They weren't combatants in cold blood for enjoyment. There's also some drug charges involved. So this just shows the type of stuff that's going on that our military has been advocating. They're only now going to prosecute these guys because they got caught. Aaron, what's your take on that?
It's amazing.
The good guys torture. No, they don't. Don't let them steal America's soul. Not in our name, ladies and gentlemen. Great job to the crew. I'll be back live with a powerful and informative guest tomorrow. We'll continue to track the radiation levels, 1,600 times safe levels in Japan. More of that cloud for the bigger blowouts headed towards the West Coast. Some of the radiation's already blown over and reached Iceland as of yesterday. Retransmission with key info starts now, Infowars.com.